Issue 14, Combat Patrol, The Battle of Bale and 2 new paints. Hello and welcome to The Lucky Roll, an eclectic channel for eclectic games, and today we're going to be doing issue 14 of our continuing series of Warhammer Hachette Collections Combat Patrol. Now this issue comes with 2 paints, a Rakarth Flesh and a Screamer Pink. I'll talk about those in a little bit, but the issue itself, because it's a paint issue, will focus predominantly on lore. Now there's a bit of a teaser as to what's inside the issue here, because you can see an image from the Third Tyrannic War and that the Blood Angels are up against the Tyranids. Now the issue of course starts with a little bit of a how to paint guide, so basically how to use your Rakarth Flesh on the minis that you have, such as the Rakarth Flesh on the Purity Seals and the Screamer Pink on the other part of the Purity Seals here, but also to kind of colour little bits of the Tyranids, the dead ones at least, with some Rakarth Flesh, and the Screamer Pink of course on things like the tongues and nails and things like that for your Tyranids. The lore starts off with the Inquisition. Now the Inquisition is a very interesting entity in the Imperium, in the sense that it is completely autonomous. It is a law unto itself. These individuals are so powerful that they can requisition entire fleets, entire Space Marine chapters to a degree. Some will refuse, but they're powerful enough that they can tell Space Marines what to do. They're all incredibly gifted and scary individuals and have different ways of dealing with threats to the Imperium. This is the symbol for the Inquisition as the Imperial Rosette, so basically you flash that thing anywhere in any Imperial world and you can just take over. It focuses on different aspects, so you have the Ordo Malus, which would be the demon hunters. So they would be very dangerous enemies, and these guys would specialize in just basically taking down the demons and would have a kind of a touch of magic to themselves, because they don't have to use kind of questionable esoteric techniques to kind of take down some of the demons. You have the Ordo Zenos, which are the ones that are basically, they focus on the alien races and how to kind of take them down, stop them being threats, things like that, but they're known for actually kind of using some of the Zenos weaponry themselves. So this model came in the Imperium magazine. I think she was in the last extra 10 issues. But a really interesting Inquisition, because she has an Eldari weapon here and I believe a Tyranid skull on her shoulder. And finally you have the Ordo Hereticus, which would focus mainly on chaos and cults and kind of basically dissent within the ranks, so that they would kind of ensure that the faith and creed of the Emperor is followed. So the Inquisition could be fairly scary ones. You have here the Oath of Moment. So the 2 paints that you were kind of painting, the one for the parchment and one for the actual seal. The Oath of Moments are basically moments or purity seals that Space Marines take to put on themselves to promise that they will complete the mission. So they will die, they will do everything in order to complete this mission. Some of them, because they've been around for a while, will take an oath to kind of take down the mightiest foes, so be it an orc warlord or a specific tyrant or anything like that. So the parchment, the purity seal, is just basically a promise that you will do what you promised to do. Basically, it's a kind of written in blood type of thing, and when it's finally sworn, it must be witnessed. So it's always witnessed by other Space Marines. So it can be a ritual fare shaped by the culture of the chapter the Space Marine hails from, and involves several witnesses, such as the company captains or even the chapter master. And should a Space Marine find himself alone, he will still swear his oath, but only the Emperor as the eternal witness. So these little purity seals are a big thing for the Space Marines. We have here the Third Tyrannic War. So this is listing the Blood Angels and the planet of Bale when they were fighting against the Tyranids north of the Caladix Maledictum. It was a very interesting, big, huge battle, because the Imperium was split in half, so they didn't get quite the amount of reinforcements they would have. So they got aid from an unlikely source, which was their own enemies. The demon lord Kabandra and his bloodthirsty legions poured forth onto the planet of Bale, to defend the Blood Angels against the Tyranids, because they wanted to be the ones to kill the Blood Angels themselves. So they hate them that much that they would actually defend them from being wiped out by something else so that they could do it themselves. And of course you have here an image of Dante. So he, I think, is the oldest Space Marine alive that is not in a dreadnought, and he's the leader of the Blood Angels. There's a kind of a joke that all he wants to do these days is just die, but he's so useful and so powerful, no one will let him, so they just keep putting him back to work. You have here the deployment. So this, of course, is just another kind of custom mission within the magazine for Scenario 10 Deep Strike, so that you can kind of play some interesting little missions with some of the minis that you have made and built and painted. And of course you have here whether you have a Space Marine victory or a Tyranid victory. And of course we have what comes in the next issue. Now the two paints themselves are actually quite good. I have found myself using Rakarth Flesh especially as my flesh color for a lot of Space Marines and for a lot of Acadian troops. It's just a kind of a nice, it's a dull flesh color, but if you put a kind of a gloss like Reichland Flesh shade on it, it kind of brings it up a little bit. But again, it's also something you can use in parchments, things like that. A very useful paint, and I've actually gone through quite a few of them, so I'm happy to see it here. And the other one, of course, is Screamer Pink. Now, I do have an army of Chaos Demons, which would be the Legions of Tzeentch. So I have a few pink horrors, things like that. So Screamer Pink was always a useful paint for me for that. But it's also very good for tongues and mouths and things like that. So especially when it comes to the Tyranids, that this is going to be a very good paint, maybe for the inside of the mouths or the inside of the tongues. So again, two very handy paints, two base paints, which means that they'll go on quite easily. So that, ladies and gentlemen, was everything that you get in Combat Patrol issue 14. As always, if you enjoy these videos, please like, subscribe, all that good YouTube stuff. And until next time, this is Sean, signing off.